Warning, the following podcast is rated 80s and will not be suitable for some listeners. It will contain antler stabbings, attempted rape, more attempted rape, Santa Claus murder, and extravaganzas. Listener discretion is advised. And now, Rated 80s presents Comics on Film. Coming at you almost live from the warm daylight glow of the Shackleford diffuser. Presented in glorious 2.53 Mookie Vision. It's Comics on Film, ladies and gentlemen.
You sound like a 70s radio dude.
We're a little worried about our new studio here, our new unnamed studio, how much echoey we might get. So I'm kind of toning it down a little bit today.
A little soft.
I am your host, Mr. Jeremy Whitman. And with me today is Rusty the Orphan. Let's go with Rusty the Orphan for this one. You always try and give Rusty a subtitle of some sort that somehow relates back to the film we watched.
Go Rusty Claus because of my beard and all.
Rusty Claus.
Or so I used to work with. I used to do landscaping. I worked with a bunch of Mexicans. They called me Sancho Claus.
Sancho Claus.
You know what Sancho is?
No.
So you know the song Santeria, the Sublime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sancho is the guy. While you're at work, he fucks your wife.
Oh yeah.
So.
Is that just a slang term, or is it just the guy's
Sancho,
name in the song?
It's kind of like a slang term for a scumbag kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nobody names their kid Sancho. That would be rude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At least in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But they called me Sancho Claus. And I didn't know what it meant, so they explained it to me. I was like 19. They explained it to me. They're no. While we're at work, you come down the chimney and you fuck our wives, and then you leave. I don't know. I thought it was
Wow, that is an amazing nickname.
Yeah.
Did you earn that, or was it just bestowed
no, it's just
upon
my
you?
beard. Yeah, it was my beard. So.
I used to work with some Hispanic folks down in California, and one of them's name was Gato.
Oh.
Which means kitty cat.
Yeah.
And he really embraced that shit. So. All right, our movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night, the end of the Christian Christmas, the Christmas action axtacular, extravaganza. That's what we call it, the extravaganza.
Yes.
Action
and the only
axtacular extravaganza. Only thrown in because I was like, there's no axes, I don't think. Does McClane use an axe at some point in Die Hard?
It seems like he would.
It seems like he grabs one to get into the elevator shaft, right? I think he uses an axe to open the elevator shaft at some point.
Okay.
I don't know. I hope so.
I don't remember that.
This is really the only reason I was like, well, we need something it's kind of offbeat, not as actiony as the other movies we did. We did Lethal Weapon.
Yep.
Long Kiss Goodnight.
Last Boy Scout.
Last Boy Scout and Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
So 3 Shane Black Christian Christmas action movies.
With the Christian.
I got nuns on the brain today because of our feature. And then Die Hard, the quintessential Christmas action movie of all time.
Yep.
And you're like, let's get a little diverse. There's 5 weeks in this December, and let's get a little diverse. Yeah, toss in another one.
Shitty 80s
in the middle of that, I'll move and completely blow our schedule. So we're way off base, but we're still we committed to it. I made a graphic, goddammit. And I put that graphic on the internet with a little announcement on YouTube, and now people need to get these episodes.
Yes.
And this is going to be one of our first episodes on the Northwest Convergence Zone.
Yes, which will be awesome.
We will be live streaming on Northwest Convergence Zone Radio, and that could take us to many other places, and that's going to be great. So this is our
NWCZ.com?
Yep.
Or is it NWCZradio.com?
Oh, I'm sure both of them probably
It's one of those, yeah. Yep.
I think he bought the whole package.
Yeah.
Fortune over there.
I would too.
Yeah, well, he's got like NWCZ.porn and all of them redirecting back.
Huh.
So if you were looking for porn of the Northwest Convergence Zone, I don't know why anyone would want to see put it in lingerie. But that'll redirect you back to the main site, your SOL on that.
Yeah.
So this might be some of our listeners' first ever listening to us. So I wanted to kind of go back and talk a little bit about where the podcast came from before we talk about this horrible, stupid movie that we both regret committing to watching, and I've been putting off for weeks and weeks. So we are coming now from our new studio underneath the glorious Shackleford diffuser.
Yes.
Which we put together by hand in 12-degree weather.
Yeah.
Made a wooden diffuser, and we made it very multi-purpose. It's just growing new appendages all the time. It's a skyline diffuser. There'll be some pictures up that you guys can see. They're great, easy to make. And if anyone needs any diffusion done, call us up. We know how to do one now. Mainly I watch Rusty do things.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Rusty takes the initiative very much. That's a good trade to have. I'm more management. You know,
you're more tech, dude.
Yeah, I am. Oh, and then we've got so many more things. So we're gonna sound block out this room. It's a little echoey. We're hoping nobody can hear it.
Yeah.
But so we got the diffusion going. Then we're gonna put up bass traps, and we just it's gonna be so pristine
It's
of a
gonna
studio.
look so awesome.
We
for
wall
you to
mounted
listen.
a TV. We got multicolor LED lights. But basically, what this is we are Comics on Film, a production of Rated80s, which is our brand, and we talk about movies. Sometimes. Mostly we start to talk about movies and then talk about other things that bother us. It's our patented asides. And no one else, if you hear another broadcaster go off on a tangent of some sort, call them up and cease and desist them. Yeah, you go, listen, the guys over at Rated 80s present Comics on Film. It's their thing where you go wandering off into the woods when you're supposed to be talking about Passion of the Christ, and they're talking about like the latest AIDS scare in the porn industry. That's our thing. But yeah, we've been doing comedy. I've been doing, 12 years, coming up on 13. And I'm thinking you're just about a year ahead of me or so.
We're 15 years.
15 years?
15
a couple years ahead of me.
Yep.
And in the greater Seattle area, all over the West Coast.
Yep.
Good friends for a long time. Love movies.
Gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We lived together for a period of time.
For like 6 months or something?
Yeah. And I go, hey, I'm moving back to Tacoma because Seattle, I can't get a hold of a plastic bag to save my life. My drug dealer's just handing me piles of cocaine, no packaging. Because they made them illegal.
They'd have to
and
pay
my
the 5
drug
cent.
dealer's like, I need you to use special pronouns because I'm transitioning. I'm like, fuck this pretentious Seattle noise, all right? You fucking A. So I came back to Tacoma, and I really wanted to do a podcast. And I figured with all the money I'm saving on rent by not paying rent at all, just sleeping on people's couches, I could maybe get a studio going. And like I already had some of the gear, and then I got this new place, and now we got this new studio.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
And
and you live like 5 minutes from me, which is even better.
Like right down the street. And so we had all this plans to do all these Christmas action movies back to back to back. There's a lot of also new listeners. A lot of religious-induced PTSD. And the movie we're doing tonight, Silent Night, Deadly Night, speaks to that quite a bit in a weird roundabout way. And so I keep saying Christian when I mean Christmas.
It's an honest mistake. I mean, they're similar.
Yeah, it's almost as if they have the same root word or something.
Weird.
Yeah. So I apologize for that right away. But, so... We were going to do them all back to back really fast, but we couldn't quite nail it because we started building a studio.
Yeah.
And the holiday is a very busy time.
Yeah.
And I'm changing jobs. I changed jobs in the middle of that. Oh, and I'm moving locations where I live. And I'm guest hosting another guy's radio show for a month. It became very hard.
Yeah.
And so finally we said, hey, let's take a little break. We'll still knock out the episodes.
Yeah.
But we're going to put some in the bank so this won't happen again and get us ahead on the NWCZ.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. So how did you feel about this wonderful, delightful tale of, what would you classify this as?
I guess
it's a slasher.
It's a slasher, technically, I suppose. But it really doesn't do the blood and guts very good.
It does them okay, but I don't go to movies for that ever. I was hoping when I looked at the trailer for this thing.
It reminded me of Carrie, kind of.
Yeah?
Yeah, just where the long cut scenes on the guy's face, like he's going insane, all of that, and they did that with Carrie a lot.
Which copy did you get? I got the Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Blu-ray. I ripped it off offline.
Don't tell people that. We don't endorse that. As artists, we cannot endorse stealing. But this,
I jacked the shit out of this movie.
$3 on YouTube to watch this.
You paid it?
No, I got the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. You actually bought it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
Of course I did. Absolutely.
Good.
I support other artists who are dead now or never ever undertook another project in their entire life. But
fair,
this
it said the writer is now a waiter or something.
A waiter still to this day? This was made 30 years ago. I got the 30 anniversary
he's
Blu-ray.
72 now, but he ended up, this is the only thing he wrote. His name's like Whitney something or Bob Whitney or something like that. I was looking up on Wikipedia. He wrote this, they made it, and then he never wrote a fucking thing again.
Oh, yeah?
It was his first goddamn movie.
For a first movie writer, this is good. I mean, it's a horrible movie. I would say so.
All right.
I would say so.
I mean, I've never written a movie, so.
If you write one movie and they take it and make it, one, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And two, I mean, it held together, it conforms to the craft of screenwriting a little bit, you know. There's certain things it does. But the really horrible thing I thought about this movie, I didn't realize till after I'd watched the Blu-ray, it keeps going back and forth from what looks like really nice video to beat down
Oh,
film.
yeah.
And I kept going, is that to show that the protagonist is losing his mind?
No,
it turns out they just recompiled it from a bunch of random sources somehow. And so there's just unprocessed film in the to put the Blu-ray together, because the Blu-ray is like, it's the most complete version, but we didn't even bother to run it through the machine that would clean it up and make it match.
Jesus.
But it's always done at points. So the plot of this movie is very interesting and horribly executed.
Yeah.
And full of holes in certain ways too. The plot is that a young boy and his parents are his mom just got done getting the most 80s-est haircut a woman could ever have. And
kind of look like Sarah Connor, too.
They're going on Christmas Eve to visit their grandfather in the asylum.
Yeah.
Or the old folks home, or combination old folks asylum. I don't know.
It's where you take old people.
It's Christmas, Christmas Eve, like, certainly they'd be on a skeleton crew and probably not want to deal with the paper, but they'd go and they're like, a lot of talk about Santa Claus, because the child's very young.
Yeah.
And he's baffled by the Santa Claus thing. And they keep using the term naughty. It's said like 300 times in this movie. Don't be naughty. Santa knows who's naughty. Santa this naughty. It's really over and over and over. And then they go, and like you would.
It's weird how you say naughty.
I don't. People have had a real problem lately. I have a basic Pierce County accent. I've been told by linguists. So I don't know
naughty.
what. Huh?
Naughty.
Like a tree? Like a tree with a bunch of knots? No, it's not. There's a U in it.
So?
It's not spelled N-O-T-T-Y.
It's not like the English language is up on pronouncing everything anyway.
Well, then why are you jumping all over my shit, Rusty?
Because I'm in the room with you.
Fucking orphans.
Sorry, go ahead with your naughty ass.
I'm trying to, for the audience.
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain this. So they take their son to the old folks' home, and they're like, we need to fill out some do not resuscitate or something for Grandpa. Grandpa, who's only like 52.
He wasn't very old at all.
He's not very old. Mm-mm. He's got a face with a lot of character. I thought the guy who played Grandpa, he looks like a garden gnome with an amphetamine and bath salts habit. That's like, at one point he was probably kind of a cute older gentleman, and now he just looks dangerous. But there's still a little bit of a glow of a smile. So they're like, son of ours, stay here with the dangerous psychopath. We're going to go sign the DNR
paperwork
for Grandpa. And Grandpa comes to life and tells the child that Santa Claus is a murdering psychopath or something along those lines. But he's pretty close. And he's talking about facial animation. Like, this guy's not talentless.
Yeah. No, he was actually, I think, the best acting in the movie.
Absolutely.
Maybe the Mother Superior.
Oh, yeah?
She was kind of good, too. But, yeah, the old dude he nailed it, and it was kind of freaky the way they kind of zoomed in on him and stuff. And the kid,
this guy has a silly putty face controlled by Skynet. Like, it really moves it around the way he wants it to.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He's comatose in a chair, and then he's suddenly very animated. And Santa knows you're naughty, he'll kill you, or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and he goes back to being in a coma.
Yeah.
Like Scooby-Doo, like the ghost was just here kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they drag the kid. All right, let's go. You know, it is Christmas Eve. We should probably get this pony show on the road. And load the kid back in the car. And then in the middle of this, there's a sequence where a guy dressed as Santa, who's a career criminal of some sort, who really loves his job.
Yeah.
He is robbing a convenience store, because it's the 80s, and that was a good way to kill a weekend. And there's like a small interaction with him and the clerk that I found very interesting, because the clerk is very angry before he gets robbed. Before he gets robbed. I'm sorry. Like, you're giving me a look. Yeah.
I mean, he was going to be mad if you pull a gun on him.
No. There's interesting little conversation they have where he's like,
why are you dressed like Santa Claus?
Santa Claus. I don't like the consumerism of Christmas. I mean, it makes me a lot of money, but I don't... He's like, oh, I'm going to rob you now. Pulls out a gun, and the clerk goes for it. Oh, the clerk does something we've seen in one other rated 80s film.
What?
Guns come out by villains, and he goes, what's going on? It's a fucking robbery. No one pulls out a gun in a convenience store to clean it. It distracts the crap out of me.
No, I'm here to plunge the toilet with my
I just have a spot in my back I can't reach without my 9mm here just totally relax, right? And so He shoots him, of course. He shoots the store clerk, goes for his own gun.
Yeah, the clerk goes for his own gun, and the Santa Claus.
Santa Claus guns him down, and it kind of relishes it. Like,
And I
kind of
love
takes
how
joy.
there's the when he shoots him, there's a shelf full of chips behind him, where you would never have a shelf full of chips. There's a set of chip behind the clerk.
Sounds like a good place to put a squib. Was that a good place to?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting the effects work in this movie because there's a lot of it, and you can tell sometimes they were able to do it and sometimes they couldn't. They didn't have the budget for it. But so he gets shot right in the Pringles and goes down and is still trying to shoot him, and the guy just shoots him again and then walks out and goes, "Oh, only $35."
Yeah.
I've never killed a person. But I believe if I was so desperate that first of all, that's barely going to cover the cost of the rental of the Santa suit. So I can see being upset. I can see being very upset about that. Like, that would very much upset me. But if strong arm robbery goes bad, I end up taking another human being's life, which I think most robbers don't count on.
No.
I've known some dangerous people in my day. Yeah, they're
yeah.
like, I need to have the gun. I don't want to actually kill someone.
Yeah.
If I actually did kill someone and then, it would devastate me even more. Than having killed them. Like, I didn't even get enough for a reasonable set of Nikes.
Yeah, I can't even go see this movie with this money.
Yeah. I should have known. There's a sign on the door right there that says no bills over 20. I should have known there was no money, and I'm a bad robber.
So how much would it take?
Huh?
How much money would it take for you to kill somebody? Or would you, after you
kill
somebody?
Person? There's some people I'd do for free. If it was legal, like The Purge for an hour or two.
Just
grab Trump by the front of his head and slice that neck right open.
How much? Literally, just to go and kill somebody you don't know, like assassin setup, kind of.
Like throw mama from the train.
Yes.
I don't have a number for that.
You don't have a minimum number?
No. Do you have a number for that?
No, I hadn't really thought about it.
No, you just want to make me seem like a psychopath
No,
to all the new
psycho.
listeners on NWCZ.
I was trying to push the narrative of those are patented.
I have a number, $3 billion. I would take my left hand off with a bandsaw, no questions asked.
Just yourself, though.
Huh?
You'd be okay with hurting yourself,
if some
not somebody
lunatic
else?
wandered up to me, Donald Trump, are you out there listening to our podcast, or one of the Ron Pauls or somebody? Just some lunatic Texas billionaire showed up, signed this paper. There's a witness, notary. We'll stamp it, and then you get $3 billion. Absolutely, take my left hand off, and then I would throw $1 billion at the problem of making me a new robotic or stem cell hand, and still have $2 billion.
See, but that's hurting yourself. I'm talking about hurting somebody else.
No.
Like, how much would it take to kill somebody?
I'm not going to do. I'm not going to kill people.
All right.
I'm going to try and get out of my life without ever killing anyone.
Okay.
Some guys kill very cheaply.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
totally.
a PFC in the Army still qualifies for food stamps. Last I checked, they'll kill you for less than minimum wage. But they get other stuff out of it. If not everyone in the Army kills people either.
Yeah.
Some of them change the oil in the vehicles that the other people drive to kill people in.
People
It's not all. There's blood on all our hands. Yeah, I helped kill people. I'm sure. I scam I need an Xbox. It's cheaper at the PX. Get me on base. I'll buy that Xbox. that money somehow goes back into the military-industrial complex.
We pay for it anyway.
Anyway, my number is $33. For $33.
Mine's around 22.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah. 22.75.
Every one of our listeners with the college education is like, I don't know, what's my student loan debt at right this second?
Totally.
That's the number.
Yep.
If I could just get free and clear of that. That's good. That's what a college education's worth. One murder. You find out how much people get paid to kill people. It's usually not very much.
No.
It's
a couple grand or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of sad, honestly.
Yeah.
Depending on who they...
What's a human life worth? Sometimes $32.
$13.68, I think it is.
Oh, is that the equation with the minerals and all that?
If you break down all the minerals and everything like that, yeah. But if you just sell kidneys on the black market...
So if you do kill someone, take them to the recycler and get your full value.
It's your gold.
It's hard
and your
now.
zinc.
It's like taking copper, though. They make you... Where'd you get the body? They fill out a form. They take a copy of your license. Oh, this is so much more entertaining than this movie.
Yeah.
So this psychopath kills the guy at the convenience store. Is very upset about the money. Not really upset about the murder.
No.
And as we will find out very soon, doesn't care about murdering people at all.
Yeah.
Because he fakes a car setup, right? He's Santa Claus. He's still dressed as Santa Claus. He's in the road. The parents are driving there with their kid. The kid's being like...
The kid has he has that conversation and he goes,
How does Santa know who's naughty and nice? Oh, the NSA gave him a machine at the North Pole that can read your mind. Is that not the conversation?
No, that's not it, but it should have been. Yeah, he talks about, he's saying, does Santa really hurt people when they're naughty? I don't know how you say it. I was trying to say it. And his mom's like, what? Like, where did you hear that from? And then he admits that Grandpa talked to him, even though he's like catatonic.
And they're like,
came to life to talk to him.
Shut up. He's a stupid old man.
Yeah.
And the kid goes, now you're being naughty.
Yeah.
And then Santa flags them down.
Because his Cadillac, his matching red Cadillac is broke down.
He's like, I got this big red sack here full of PTSD.
He probably was in Nam.
Yeah.
I'm betting. Time-wise, I could see that.
Santa flags them down. They get out to help. Like, oh, Santa must be on his way to a party or something. Let's just get out of our car. It's the 1980s. What the fuck could go wrong here? And they get out, and Santa murders Daddy, right?
Well, yeah. Well, he pulls up. He walks up to the driver's side door. The dad rolls down the window. He's like, "Oh, you got a problem?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a problem." And then he grabs his gun out.
And
Mom
shoots
screams.
him.
He hits reverse, and the Santa Claus shoots his dad.
Him. There's a bunch of potato chips behind the father that explode in the backseat of the car.
Just to get that squib in there. It spins out of control, and the dad falls out of the car dead.
He's got a bullet hole in his forehead, doesn't he?
The one thing that the grandfather said... Yeah, he does. When the one thing the grandfather said that was useful at all, he said that Santa, he goes, if you see Santa Claus, you run.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one thing that was useful. So as soon as this pops up and he shoots the dad and the mom's flipping out on the passenger side, the kid just bolts away from his family. He just hops out of the car and takes off across the freeway.
There's like an infant with him as well.
Yeah, there's a baby. Yeah, and then Santa Claus just indiscriminately walks over to the car that the dad falls out of the car with a head wound and then just grabs the mom.
Grabs the wife, and goes to a bad place with the mother.
Just rapes her.
But he doesn't actually get to the rape part. He gets her shirt open.
Yeah.
Because it's, to be a rated 80s movie, it has to have, there are so many breasts in this movie. Yeah. It is out of control. I found it offensive.
The downside is,
and most of the time someone dies because it's quintessential slasher stuff, right?
On a side here, I gotta say, it's kind of funny because we had the conversation like, man, we gotta not talk about rape so much. And then we watch a movie with 5 rapes.
I think it has 2 attempted rapes.
Yeah.
But they all end in such weird violence.
Crazy.
So he gets her shirt open, and then she slaps him or something, and he's like, well, fuck it, I'll just kill you.
Yeah.
And kills her, but kind of takes joy in it. It's really what is this guy? He probably didn't even need the $33. He's just
a psycho.
Yeah, he's just straight up psycho, and then he is out of the movie.
Which, conveniently enough, though, as he leaves the movie, and he's done, he ends up taking off or whatever, and the kid has to go to an orphanage. But this guy, the guy who played Santa Claus, he's the only one that worked.
After this movie?
Constantly.
Oh, really?
The guy has done so much shit. It
seemed like, when I looked at the Wikipedia page, it seemed like a lot of the people had their own Wikipedia pages, meaning they did something after this movie.
Yeah. This guy worked so many movies. It's
really?
40 movies and then a bunch of TV shows and everything else. Couldn't see him because he was wearing a Santa Claus. So I don't know who he is in those movies, but tons of 80s movies. He was in a fucking Batman, I think it was. The new Batman? Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just as a dude.
Crazy.
I'm sure he was just a stand-in or whatever. But yeah, then it cuts to 10 years later or 5 years later.
I'm not sure. This movie at points I just kind of I don't know. But yeah, they throw him in an orphanage with his little brother.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest orphanage in the world. Now, it's a Catholic orphanage.
Yeah. Our Lady of Peace or something.
Yeah, whatever. With abusive nuns.
Which, normal.
From what I understand of nuns, is right. They seem like, kind of bittery kind of people. I don't know how many nuns and Amish are the same thing, right? There's none of them listening. But I don't know if we have nun listeners.
No, nuns can do all that shit.
Oh, yeah, you just can't have the sex. The Amish are getting down, no technology. Nuns can use a bunch of technology but can't get down.
I'd rather
that's
be Amish.
That's the distinction between religions.
Is it?
It's either you get one or the other in your religion.
There's no sex and tech?
Protestants can have, So most Christians have both. Yeah. So the Amish, you can't do both. They have weird, like, zippers are too much for the Amish. No, seriously, that's
I know.
have buttons.
Buttons.
Yeah, like
Which
at what
is
committee
the
meeting?
stupidest invention ever. Sorry, buttonfly jeans.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I've been uncomfortable. Okay, I can't. Like, I'm done peeing at the urinal. There's a line of dudes with me, except to get them all. Now you're in. I look like I'm playing with my junk to button my pants all the way up. It's really hard. I have one pair, and I forget that I wear them every time. Like, I just throw them on, like, oh, I'm just going to the store or whatever. 4 hours later, I use the bathroom.
Only situation where they're worthwhile is a situation where a zipper might freeze or something. Like,
even then,
go skiing and you shouldn't be skiing in jeans. Actually, now that I think about it, button fly stuff. The Navy makes them wear like a special dress uniform with 13 buttons.
But at least that's kind of overlapping.
Don't get diarrhea with 13 buttons holding your pants closed.
I'd pop them all off. I would.
Yeah. But yeah, they put them in the orphanage, and what was really weird to me about this orphanage is not that it is full of nuns and that they're mean to children. That's a trope. I don't think all nuns are mean to children, by the way.
No.
Put a disclaimer.
Well, there's a nice nun in there, too.
Yeah, there's a nice nun who's a
Mother
little bit
Superior
more new wave. Yeah, and then there's the Mother Superior is very mean. What's really confusing to me about this church, though, aside from the fact that they know this kid has Santa Claus-induced PTD.
PTD?
PTSD-ADD.
Okay, yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
And is down with OPP.
Who wouldn't be?
You know me. They know all that. They're having Santa Claus come visit. Now, that isn't entirely outside the realm of possibility, right? Because there's like, oh, she's a stupid, mean nun who runs this place.
Yeah.
Except that it's a Catholic orphanage. And they never bring up Jesus at all. They have this weird fixation on Santa Claus coming and doing I didn't even think
the
reason
about that.
You, as a religious institution, run an orphanage is so that you can brainwash the fresh meat with no parents. It's not so you can give them toys.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. And then
I didn't put that together at all. I
kept thinking about it. It is so distracting to me. Like, why is the Catholic orphanage, it's evil, one flew over the cuckoo's nest institution of an orphanage with, Nurse Ratchet / Mother Superior at the helm. Why do they have Santa Claus? It doesn't make any sense unless you're just a bad writer. It's so bad that you quit the business and became a waiter.
Pretty much. I think that's the only thing. That's the reason. And he drew the stupid picture. Like, they all drew their they drew their pictures up for Christmas. Everyone had nice fluffy pictures.
And he drew something like a butterfly effect.
Yeah, it was Santa Claus chopping the head off a reindeer. Yeah.
And the one nun is like, I think this is maybe because he has PTSD down with OPP. And the other nun, the Mother Superior, is like, no, he's just wicked. Which kind of makes sense to me because the whole Christian faith kind of is predicated on the idea that you are born broken and evil and need to be fixed. So that's kind of her opinion of children. But this is a good time. We're going to hit a break here in about 2 minutes. So this is a good time to actually mention a good movie about the Catholic Church and dealing with it that is a semi-autobiographical.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Oh, that's a great movie.
That's a great one.
We're doing that one, guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
It's this is a very rare one, and the title is going to sound a little bit weird. I guarantee you, this movie does not include anything about any sexual contact, rape, or anything. But the movie is called "The Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys," which is an amazing book and a great movie about a group of young friends. I think it's semi-autobiographical, if not full-on autobiographical. And their coming-of-age story, and they go to a Catholic private school, and they're all altar boys, and no one touches them. You were looking at me like someone definitely touches them. And they say that's why the movie didn't make any money, is because the title of the book, back before the big 80s scandal broke, and then the 90s scandal, and the early 2000s scandal, and then the current scandal. The Catholic Church has had
dates on from before.
And then the people were illiterate. The Catholic Church has a lot of these scandals, but it's a great film and does kind of delve a little bit deeper also into the lives of the nuns and stuff that deal with these children going to the school. Much better than this piece of crap, which we will get back to in just a minute and talk about how unlikely it is that an 8-year-old boy could cold clock a Santa Claus off a chair.
Yesterday, I asked you to find a practical use for your new measuring skills. Triangulation.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Has everyone done their homework?
It seems like the perfect spot for deciding what you really want in life. My own comic book, bigger than anything the Marvel or DC have. No, I'm talking about what you really want. Margie Flair! We should do a story. The Atomic Trinity. If we're gonna have a story, then we've got to have a bad guy. You want to meet me tomorrow night?
Come on, you two.
We're still on for tomorrow night, right? Tomorrow night? What is this place?
This is my kingdom.
When you look at me, I can hardly breathe. Well, I kissed her like 2 years ago. 2 years? What was she then, like 8 years old? Old enough.
I guess we go to hell about twice over.
I don't believe there is a hell. She told me a secret. It's not a regular secret. You could never tell anyone. Anyone.
You are on a terrible downward spiral. I fear for you.
Do you think I'm crazy?
Not everyone has to make up trouble for themselves just so they're not bored. Can't do this without you. You with me here, altar boy?
All right, and we are back. I'm doing that thing again, aren't I? Where I'm trying to be a little sultry for some reason. So during the break, we looked up the Roger Ebert review of The Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys, and Roger Ebert and I agree, which is always a fun time. I always enjoy that when I agree with Roger Ebert. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get really upset that he doesn't like movies I like.
Is he your favorite critic then?
No, but he's one everyone knows.
Yeah.
My favorite
I was gonna
critic.
say I only know the one.
Yeah, my favorite critic is Red Letter Media. The Star Wars
Yeah.
Plinkett guys are definitely my favorite. But Siskel and Ebert was a very influential show for me.
Yeah.
It used to come on like at 11 o'clock on a Saturday or some craziness out here. It was a syndicated show, so wherever you live out there in Radio Land, it will come on at a different time for you during your childhood if you ever saw it. But I thought it was great because I wasn't allowed. We talk a lot about not being allowed to see movies as children.
Yeah.
Because movies in the 80s were quite often like this horrible piece of shit movie, like very, gore based and stuff like that. But you could see movie clips on Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
And they would talk about movies, and they're not very film theory type people. They were just like, will you enjoy this movie or not? And I used to love watching their show.
I've only seen it maybe once or twice. I
Oh, yeah?
really don't like. It sounds weird because all we do on
You
our
don't like
podcast-
movies, yeah, I know. I picked a horrible person for a co-host.
No, I stay away from listening to any type of critics' reviews about any movie. Because
really?
I get burned so many times. Like,
Well, you'll never find, even if you're married to someone and they're your soulmate, you're not gonna have all the same movie tastes.
no, not at all. But I've just been. It's been like I read one for Fight Club before I went to go see it, and I was like, they said it was horrible, and then I ended up going and seeing it. And I was like, okay, you guys are retarded.
Almost everyone said Fight Club was horrible, and then almost everyone of influence had Fight Club on their top 10 of the year.
Yeah, so it just burns me. I try not. I don't want to hear whether it's good or not. It bugs me, and so I don't really like critics, which is funny because
Now you've become a movie critic.
Totally.
Take it back for the common man.
Well, you have so much to say about movies. I don't. I mean, I normally go like, well, I enjoyed it or I didn't.
Yeah, you're kind of more succinct, like, I can take it or leave it, or I liked it or I didn't like
or
it,
I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
This one was so.
I'm obsessed with movies. I have that OCD, PTSD, ADD. So,
Done with OPP.
No, I got every one of them. NSA, FBI, IRS. Every one that's not quite an acronym.
I have that opposite. What was it? Opposite defiance disorder or something? ODD?
Oppositional defiance disorder?
Is that what it is?
My doctor tried to tell me that. I go, no, I fucking don't.
Yeah, exactly. I disagree a lot with a lot of people.
A lot of comics have that.
Yeah.
So hey, I take everything at face value. Isn't that hilarious? No, it's not. That's not funny at all.
That doesn't
Deconstruct something, jerk. Yeah.
Look at things critically. That's why I think every comic has a bit of anarchist in them. Period.
Yeah.
You have to. Which is funny. It's
a good thing they're crop dusting us with those chemtrails. Stop us going full anarchist.
Yeah. More fluoride, sir. That was actually a direct quote from, of all people, Louis Anderson.
Oh, really?
Was like, you have to be a bit of an anarchist to do comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is Louis Anderson saying that? Because he's like all wholesome and nice and shit. But it was on the, if you get a chance, I'm going to recommend a movie. It's Icons, Richard Pryor documentary.
Oh, yeah?
It's on YouTube, RedTube.
It's on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Netflix.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Netflix.
It's on YouTube, Netflix, or Amazon Prime.
And RedTube. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty racy documentary.
It's a really good one. I've seen a few of his, but that was a good one. Good interview. Really good interviews.
Oh.
Things you didn't quite know. But
You were asking. I do have a certain amount of respect for Roger Ebert. I like some things that he does not like at all. I think Very Bad Things, or at least I did years ago. I rewatched it recently. Have you seen Very Bad Things?
Yes, a long time ago.
I thought it was very funny when I first saw it. And in your early 20s, you think a lot of very, kind of like Fight Club spoke to me a lot because it came out right when I was at that point, like Down with the Man and all that. Yeah. Roll the thing into Starbucks. That'll save the world. Yeah. But yeah, he absolutely hated that movie, and it's like when you really disagree with somebody you respect, it's always kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But I kind of disagree with Siskel and Ebert's review of this from the show. At least half of it is available on YouTube, and famous enough to be mentioned in the Wikipedia article because this movie has a history, a very weird history. I thought you were going to say
the Altar Boy one. I was like,
oh no, I don't think that was during the course of
the Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yeah.
Okay.
Their review, and they hated this movie, and it can't. I often find these guys a little bit inconsistent, and that's one thing I respect about the show that they did was it's just kind of like, I didn't like it, but a lot of it's like, well, maybe you didn't like it because you're in a mood not to like it, and this movie did a magical thing where it offended the PTA.
Yeah.
And the PTA decided they're going to how dare you make a movie where Santa Claus is killing people? Which to me holds as much water as, how dare you take the snowflakes off your Starbucks cups? You are assaulting Jesus. Santa Claus is a goddamn marketing tool at this point. He's not, and then snowflakes also have nothing to do with the story of Jesus.
Yeah.
It's Starbucks, especially. I don't understand that reasoning at all. Like, how come Starbucks isn't whoring Jesus on their coffee cups to make a dime? Well, how would that? Is there some sort of clap if you believe in fairies clause that I don't know about in the Bible, where your religion has to be shoved down everyone's throat for 3 months from Thanksgiving all the way to January?
It's not just 3 months.
Proverbs 6:12, or where is that in the Bible that it says that you must consumerize the birth of your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and then that's all fine, but then no one gives a shit about the bunny thing.
The clauses.
It's called the Santa Claus in the Bible. It's literally
horrible Tim Allen movie.
I wrote a horrible joke recently. I'll tell it to you later in the podcast. It's really bad. It's criminally bad.
I think the forcing the religion and the crazy enough down people's throats and the complaining thing comes from that. There's a Bible verse where it says you're supposed to go forth and tell people.
Mm.
But that's
from Paul or whatever in the Paul book. Everyone go.
Well,
he goes don't go to Asia.
Yeah.
The Asians can read and write. Don't go there.
Yeah. They're way more advanced than us.
Continue this tradition of. Anyway, back to our Silent Night, Deadly Night. It got protested by the PTA.
Mainly because of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Wikipedia, I guess if you've seen the trailer, it's
crap. It's not a good trailer.
Absolutely. But it's showing at 8 o'clock at night when kids are still awake.
Well, that was Siskel and Ebert's big thing. And, in the 80s, cable hadn't really caught on a lot. Cable was invented by a guy who went up on a hill near his ranch and put an antenna up there and strung a big piece of cable down to his ranch. And then...
just to catch all the airwaves?
To get antenna signal, because he couldn't get it. And then his neighbors also couldn't get it, so he leased them stuff. It was completely homespun.
Nice.
Like an Apple computer, but even more low tech, right? It was just basic stuff you can get at a hardware store, no real engineering or anything. So he rented them that invented the cable TV industry. And for a long time, everyone was like, cable will never last. The cable had to have its own, the Cable Ace Awards, because the Golden Globes and stuff wouldn't take them serious. Fuck you, cable. And, people used to be like, FM radio is a fad. And, crap like that. Like, they're always very reticent to change. It's less with our generation because change happens exponentially quickly since like 1998 or so.
Do you feel like you're getting lost?
Huh?
I feel like I say this a lot, but I feel like I'm a caveman, and just a monkey looking at a math problem when it comes to tech shit now.
Oh, really?
I feel like I've been lost.
I've always been interested in tech, so
I love tech.
The one thing I will never understand, I'm kind of lying, but is the allure of Twitter. I have never understood why you would use the internet to make conversations more simple. It seems like the internet should, and it is used a lot of the time to, I'm doing this research over here in India, and I'm doing similar research in Iceland, and I'm doing similar research in Texas, and we can all get together and collaborate on that.
Yeah.
And thankfully, they're not using Twitter because
only
progress would stop if you had to limit it to 140 characters.
Yeah.
Twitter is just so dead simple, and I don't find it useful. And people say, oh, it's really good for paring down your jokes. And I don't actually believe jokes need to be pared down at all.
See, but here's the thing. It's not... that part of the internet isn't for the scientists in other countries. You know what I mean? That part is it's the popcorn, not the movie. You know what I mean? It's just the shit you do in the meantime. You know
Every
what I mean?
other piece of technology, you were asking, I get it. I get Instagram over Twitter. I totally understand that. People want...
my problem is just technology, period. Like, I tried to use an Apple for a while. No, I'm...
Oh, you have to get an Apple computer, not just an Apple at the market. No, you can't just plug that into your phone.
Okay. I'm a caveman, not an idiot. No, I've tried to use, like, an iPhone. I'm like... Because I was raised on Androids. So Samsung's is I just do it. I know how to do it. I'm like hooked into that. Like you were trying to show me, like I tried to look up Linux and try to fuck around with that.
Oh, that's like trying to climb Mount Everest when you can barely crawl. I refuse to change. I don't even like what Apple's done to their phone in the last 3 years. It drives me nuts. But I'm like, I don't have the time or energy to relearn all the little where the buttons are on Android. Like it's going to do essentially the same thing. I'm just too lazy.
That's
I get that
my
sometimes.
thing. I get locked into those things.
Bare metal knowledge of computers, so I use Linux because that's the way I got taught to do audio by a friend of the show and Ask an Atheist host Sam Mulvey, and just a good personal friend of mine. He's like, hey man, here's how you do this, and then also you should learn everything about... I mean, Sam can almost build a computer out of an Apple and a phone. Like he's that crazy of a guy. He can do programming, he buys stuff like that. So I'm never a babe in the woods like that, but I am a person who, like, if it's a choice between $1 or 6 hours, you're getting my dollar. So Apple is holding me hostage really with their shitty phone and their new streaming service for their music. And then I talk to Siri and she wants to use the streaming stuff. I don't want to use your goddamn streaming service. I want to hear my hip hop and my rap from 1996 through 2004. And that's all the music that needs to exist. God damn it, you fucking space ghost thing in my phone.
I feel like I might just be getting too old for everything because I remember looking at. I got a Facebook when it first started, right? Like right as it
became public. Yeah.
Got it. Got the name. Rusty Comedian, backslash Facebook, or that whole thing. Yeah, I got that, and then I didn't use it at all.
Oh, yeah?
It just sat there for like 6 years. I didn't touch it, and then the learning curve to try to learn how Facebook worked.
Facebook, honestly, is a really bad interface.
It's
an infinity knot of buttons. They all run you around in circles. It's really, I can't believe it ever got on, but the alternative was MySpace, which was really bedazzled garbage.
Yeah. And, that I was a pimp at. So many MySpace friends.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just a caveman trying to catch up to technology, and it's not working. Mm-hmm. Like, I finally understand Twitter a little bit, but it's still... And I'm not stupid. That's the frustrating part. Like, I'm not dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to land, 6-8 hours a week at it to learn something like this, minimum. And you got a kid, you got a job, you have a drinking habit that puts country of Europe to shame. I understand that Europe's not a country, but I was kind of lost there. Ireland. Let's go with Ireland on that.
I don't know if I can do Ireland.
We should get back to the podcast.
Yes,
but I will tell you, here's something I don't like about the internet before we get back to that. And just society in general. It seems that the rise of the internet has coincided with the rise of these hipsters and their goddamn puns. Right? And they do puns like just because they know it hurts you on the inside to have to puzzle it out and go,
it's like loving bacon so much it's pissing you off.
You think, Riggs has a bacon wallet. What the fuck? Come on, get over yourself. You show it to me. Fucking eat my ass with your bacon wallet. We all love bacon.
Does he
That
have
doesn't make
bacon
you
in it?
unique.
'Cause that
You're
would
not
be
a,
awesome.
a unique and delicate flower because you fucking like bacon. Suck my dick, internet.
Your Fight Club showing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll zip up.
so the puns?
They have these puns, right? And
Yeah.
so every so often like today I did a few kind of more intricate puns on about, what was it? Stealthy at any size
Yeah.
is a person who's very fat, but they're good at Metal Gear. That was one of them. And I did some, a prisoner of lore is someone who's way too into J.R.R. Tolkien novels. Those are puns, right? But I was like, maybe I could write one that really hurts people. And I came up with, things were pretty oppressive before the 60s. Office workers were not allowed to spin around in their chairs at all before the civil rights movement. Yeah. I apologize. I have a no apologies policy in my comedy, and I talk about some very dark things. There's two things that I think are the worst thing.
That grew on me.
Oh, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to use it in my act. If you ever want to come see my act, it's going to be used as an example of the sort of thing when you're at work, people go, "I've got something you could use in your comedy act," and then throw that out there, and I will be lying to them, and they won't know that I came up with that horrible piece
That
of
is
shit
funny.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to make it somebody else's fault. That's fucking swivel.
Yeah,
right?
that's a comedy trick. If you want to say something racist, get a puppet to say that racist thing, or say a buddy of mine said, and then you can argue against it.
No, you don't even say it, but I say the shitty guy at work.
Mm.
I always blame the shitty guy at work because there's always, and I hate that when you meet a guy who's kind of cool and you're good with him, and then he says just something ignorantly stupid.
Oh.
Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, dude, you were cool like 5 minutes ago.
Here's the problem with being white. There's really only probably one.
I mean, there's not a lot of them, but
No, most of the time it's sunshine and lollipops.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty chill. Unless maybe you walk through Watts at 2 a.m. and encounter the wrong people, that could go. But as a white person, it's not a problem that comes up too often. But if you're white, and I know at least some of our listeners probably aren't. I'm assume there's nothing wrong with that, non-whites. Anyway, if you're white, you will meet a lot of other white people, like everyone does, because there's still a lot of white people in America, and you might know someone for 6 or 8 months before they decide that you're cool enough for them to pull out their racist cock and try and shove it in your face. And don't put your racist penis in my face, motherfucker. Oh, it's a weird thing.
People assume because of the way I look and everything.
Rusty, you're shaven head.
Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Beard.
Yeah.
Earlugs.
Earlugs.
Yeah, that's what I call those things.
Gauges. Yeah.
Gauges. Lugs,
I
gauges.
look like the guy that would, but I'm not a safe white guy, and I say that in the opposite way. Like I'm not. People assume I'm racist, so they get to say racist shit around me, and I'm not the guy to shut up when that's said to me because I'm big enough to where if somebody says some ignorant shit about black people or whoever says the fucking N-word around me, anything.
You can put them in their place.
Them. Yeah.
This goes back to your not liking bullies thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't handle it. I'm not I'm not cool with your ignorance pushed on me. And then if you say that around me, people aren't going to look at you. They're going to look at me like I said it, no matter what, every time.
So you have to shut them down.
Exactly.
Vocally.
Like, not fucking cool, or I will beat the shit out of you.
I'm actually adopted by non-whites. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about race and how other people, because it's different when people see a group of people and one white guy,
Yeah.
And all this stuff. But I never have thought about do people consider me racist very much, because it's the Pacific Northwest is very integrated, and I grew up in South Pierce County, whereas Tacoma has some race lines. They're not super deep like you'd see in Memphis or Atlanta or Philadelphia, where you can drive to straight up segregated neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But Tacoma has some, but as you get farther down out of Tacoma into unincorporated Pierce County, where I grew up, not so much race lines. Yeah. So I never thought twice about shaving my head, just take the one on the clippers and shave it all the way down and wander around. And I had done that and moved to L.A. And I was walking down the street, and I noticed that I was being treated different than I'm used to by all the black people.
Yeah.
Wait, they think and 2 black guys were walking towards me on the street and looking at me funny. And I go, I think I know what it is. It's this. And I ran my hand through my knot hair while looking at them. And I go, oh, no, now they think I'm racist. And I turned around and I moved out of L.A.
You just fucking the whole place.
Now, some of you may be thinking, we are supposed to be here to talk about this movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night, but this conversation is more entertaining than anything. This movie has a following, I guess.
Yeah.
People love it. It spawned 4 sequels, 2 of which have nothing to do.
Okay, but the whole this is the reason why I got the sequels, I'm pretty sure.
Usually a horror movie dead ends itself like, oh, Michael Myers is dead. Whoops.
Yeah.
We'll just have to magic him back to life. I will say this for this movie, this horrible, boring, stupid, almost put me in a coma movie.
Yeah.
No problem having sequels, because
yeah.
We'll get to it at the end. But, I mean, they set themselves up for an infinite number of sequels.
The reason why it happened is because it got protested. This is how it ended up a cult classic, I'm pretty sure. Because it opened the same weekend as Nightmare on Elm Street, and beat Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
so they pulled it.
They pulled it not because it beat Nightmare on Elm Street, because they're getting so much bad press.
Yeah. But
it's not a better movie than Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, hell no,
by any means.
No, whoever went and saw this on accident should have went in the other theater.
It was the 80s when they were just finding out these sorts of movies made bank. You could make this movie for almost nothing.
$1 million they made it for.
$1 million.
1.2.
Yeah. And none of that's on the screen. I could make this movie today for $6,000 or $7,000 just with
phones.
like a GoPro. But yeah, and they knew it'd be offensive, I'm sure. I didn't think they probably didn't intend to, because there had been other movies where Santa kills people, and there is going to be other movies where Santa kills people, but for some reason this one struck a nerve. And it got pulled. And never got a video rating or a video license or something like that in Europe or England specifically. But people remembered it, and it did make a lot of money, and it came back. But horror fans of the slasher genre, not necessarily people who are like,
they latch on to horrible shit.
They can find good in anything given enough time, because they are willing to look at it. Emmett Montgomery's character, Sugar Plum Gary. Have you ever seen that?
In
the guy who has a traumatizing experience with Santa Claus and then goes around preaching about how Santa is dangerous.
Yeah.
I often wonder. Well, I only saw this movie earlier today. I have wondered since earlier today if Emmett's character isn't based on the grandfather in this movie, because the grandfather seems to have some psychotic PTSD. From some traumatic encounter with Santa, and then maybe it's somewhat of an influence.
That would be the movie.
Sugar Plum Gary, the movie, is a great idea. Patent pending, Emmett Montgomery.
No. The grandfather prequel.
Oh, yeah?
Do the fucking granddad's story.
You could do this movie as a good movie. They just didn't do it, I don't think. Okay, so the kid goes to the orphanarium, right? And he's at the orphanarium, and there's one horrible nurse Ratchet.
Is it actually called an orphanarium?
No, that's in Futurama, Leah. Or Leela, or whatever, the girl with the one eye.
Yeah.
She goes to an orphanarium, which is a combination of Orphan Museum. Or Emporium, it could be many things. Futurama is a great show. So I just thought I'd call it that.
So they go to the orphanarium.
He goes to the orphanarium, and there's one nun trying to help, and then there's a bad nun who's like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make this guy a serial killer, basically. And she's like, oh, he's just rotten to the core. And they present him with Santa Claus after he's obviously got some Santa issues, right? Like he's drawn bad pictures of Santa and stuff. And Santa Claus gets cold clocked by this child.
Yeah, the Mother Superior forces the kid onto Santa's lap.
And,
like, you will sit on his lap. Puts him on his lap, the kid flips out, and it was
logically it makes no sense, but it's a convincing punch.
Oh yeah.
It literally looks like this 8-year-old knocks a full-grown Santa Claus off the chair onto the floor, through your target, like legitimate good Bruce Lee form.
It was a wild because he took a wild left hand swing at it.
I watched the GIF of it many times. Did you? The GIF, it's like it's pretty good haymaker.
All right,
like it's a good shot. And
makes this.
And does it just pretty much cut forward at that point? I forget. Does it just cut forward to his
adult
10 life
until he's 18?
Oh yeah. And they're trying to now. This is the nun that cares for him, right?
Yeah.
Is trying to get him a job
at a toy store
at Christmas time, right?
Christmas time,
at Christmas time at a toy store. But this is a stupid idea.
Why? Oh, well.
Because she knows he has Santa Claus-induced PTSD.
Yeah.
Like a Sugar Plum Gary. But not in the lovable Emmett Montgomery sort of way. And and this kid is ripped.
Yeah.
It's like, this is like a prison yard sculpted body.
And they did that because she's like, well, I need a job
Help
for one of
this
my boys.
boy, yeah.
And the guy's like, it's
We
around
can't
Christmas.
hire
We're
a
busy.
boy. Yeah.
The only thing I need is somebody to move boxes in the back.
And his slow tilt up
Yeah.
shot, and it's just
From the
this
ground to his
lumberjack of a man.
biceps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Burly dude. He gets the job, of course, because
Mhm.
he can move heavy shit because he's got the muscles.
Mm.
And works there. I don't really like. I liked the shop owner was cool, but there was a creepy dude in the
Now
back
that guy
that
must do a
always
lot of
fixes-
acting. He seemed like a really good character
He's
actor.
been in a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
Super cheesy.
Yeah.
Shop owner's kind of a kindly old gent.
Yeah.
And there's a weird dynamic going on with this whole toy store thing.
Yeah.
And they need a Santa. And they cast him. They end up casting him as Santa.
Yeah. They put him, the guy with the Santa PTSD, in a
Mhm.
goddamn Santa suit.
So he can Rated80s every child that comes through the. We haven't explained what Rated80s meant to our new listeners that might be coming in on the.
Well, we failed
the
miserably
deal.
then, haven't we?
No, we can do it.
Can we?
Yeah.
I have faith in us.
Yeah. This is perhaps we've watched some Rated80s stuff, but if you were gonna like have a chart where you got so many points for this and so many points for that, this might be the most Rated80s movie.
That
And
we've
overall, like you're like one for a
It's this and
costume
Dead Heat.
in Dead
Right.
Heat. You think?
I think comparatively.
Yeah, Rated80s it means that it's worse than an R in that it is just an expose of the cocaine addiction that was rampant in Hollywood being transferred onto the screen.
It's pretty much something you could have only seen in the 80s.
Mhm.
Rated R comedies.
Something that now, if you want to make it, you have to go, it'll be like an 80s movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone will love it
exactly.
because it'll remind them of the 80s. But we'll make it
Exactly.
way less violent and full of sex because we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because this would absolutely get an NC-17 today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely no way it would be anything but an X. That's what we called it in the 80s, was X.
Yeah.
We weren't, with this political correct NC-17. No,
Yeah.
X,
Which is
motherfucker.
NC, does that mean a 17-year-old can go see it without an adult?
No one
Or an
under
18?
17. It might be 17.
See,
It's
that's-
not a
it was-
law. It's just the movie industry policing itself. So
Yeah. But it's not, yeah. That drives me nuts. If you ever get a
Mhm.
chance, watch This Film's Not Yet Rated.
Uh-huh.
Have you
Oh,
seen
that's
that
a
one?
great documentary.
That
Yeah.
explains the rating system. Our rated 80s just means it's full of all the good shit you
Mhm.
remember when you were a kid. There's
Yeah.
violence, blood, guts. Remember RoboCop? All that shit.
Mhm.
Boobs.
Yeah.
Lots of boobs. Doesn't have to be full on sex, just boobs.
The type of movie that if you show it to an 8-year-old, they might dress up in a Santa Claus outfit and kill their way through an entire town,
Yeah, totally.
ending up back at the orphanarium.
Or just growing up okay
Uh-huh.
without everything padded and
Yeah,
nice
there's a
and
3 in
sweet.
5 chance they could grow up okay.
Those are good odds.
Yeah.
Gets you in the majors.
Oh, really?
Pitching or hitting.
Hitting?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. I don't know.
That's sports.
That's sports. Yeah. All right, sure. Pitching. Whatever.
Goddamn sports.
Knitting. I don't care.
Yeah, that's rated 80s.
Mhm.
Oh, and he ends up, so he gets the job. He puts on the Santa outfit. And the part where he.
This is the point in the movie where he is not a good actor
No.
to begin with.
Mm-mm.
This is the point in the movie where they're just like, take 7 Thorazine and continue the film. Because he
Yeah.
does the rest of the movie. I wouldn't have hired this guy, even though he has big biceps and they need someone to lift boxes. Because we
Yeah.
all know that toys are fucking heavy, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like children love things that weigh 80 or 90 pounds. But he's like, I can't hire anyone unless they're ripped as shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm big. Okay, go in there and lift giant, the gold bricks we give to children. Lift them over your head, and you'll get even stronger. But I wouldn't have hired him because he has the dull, dead eyes of a serial killer.
Oh, totally.
That's the only thing he does right in this movie. And I wonder if they just didn't find someone who was technically in a coma.
Wait, how mentally retarded? You get the job.
Legally, he's in a coma and
Yeah.
cannot act upon. He can't sign documents or anything. But for some reason, he can read and walk. And if you ask him to read something, he'll just read it. So if I put up a cue card and through those serial killer eyes, yeah, okay, and that's how they just go with it because
He did have
he's
the blank
horrible.
stare. Yeah.
Blank stare, and the big trigger word is naughty.
Yeah.
Naughty. You pick your own pronunciation, listeners, and just substitute the one you like
Nutty.
in.
Naughty.
Naughty. I like it naughty with a G. It's the old British.
Noggy?
What? Doggy? What?
Noggy.
Oh, dude, we don't need to pad this. We're doing fine. But so if someone is naughty, he will kill them.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the thing. And that rule gets looser and looser throughout the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and so we're going to hit a break here in just a minute or two, but we can summarize everything that happens in the toy store. They make him Santa. They give him a little booze. The toy store owner is going to have his Christmas party, which just is him grabbing his emergency 4 bottles of liquor and feeding them to everyone.
Yeah.
And then he catches one store employee attempting to rape another store employee and decides that is naughty. I agree with him. I do not agree with him on the punishment of murdering this person.
Strangling him with
Christmas lights. Which those are some, they don't build them like they used to.
No, they didn't.
That was made out of some...
Because he choked him so hard, blood came out.
Yeah,
Can't do
and
that with
one-handed,
that
by the way, to emphasize how strong...
Yeah.
And also, every time anyone has a conversation in the toy store, they're doing it in front of Chekhov's axe. There's an axe on the wall, and they're just constantly, like, there's a fire axe. They're just all the time talking in front of it. So it doesn't matter how high or drunk you were seeing this film, you know that there is an axe coming into play pretty soon.
Do buildings even have those anymore?
I don't see them ever anymore.
I never see them anymore.
Yeah.
Huh.
After the
too many
80s,
axe-wielding Santa Clauses
it was just
happened.
people would just do that, Well, the whole world's gone nerf, really. Honestly. Well, not the whole world, but the part of it we live in has gone pretty nerf. Maybe not the part that used to be Iraq and Syria that's combined into its own Dothraki landscape of blood, destruction, and murder. Well, I don't know what to call them. They call them different things, all but ISIS, ISIL, Dashiki, Dakine. I don't know. They call them, well, what's the actual name that they were using for a while? They don't like it anymore. It wasn't ISIL. No, it starts with a D. It doesn't matter.
Kurds? No.
I go with Dothraki.
No. Dothraki.
I like Dothraki. Yeah. They remind me of the Dothraki. But yeah, so their part of the world's a lot more. But I mean, we used to. They just give us like a bag of broken glass and heroin needles for Christmas and be like, "Go nuts!" That's how we get rid of the dumb ones. Like, I don't know why this would happen to me. I was maybe just a dumb kid, or maybe it's the oppositional defiance disorder that I don't fucking have. But playground bars used to be the perfect width for a child to stick his head through, the little bars on the handrail. And then for some reason, when you do that, your head inflates 1/4 of an inch. You get your head in there, it gets a little more blood maybe because you're bending over and just your head's a little bit, but now you can't get out. And now my mom has to call like the nearest construction workers to disassemble the thing. That doesn't happen to children anymore because the playground bars are only like a 1/2 inch apart. Now you can't.
All of them.
Yeah, they'll never know the terror of being stuck to a piece of playground machinery.
The standard 3.5 inches in between each rung.
Yeah, they're very close together.
My construction.
That's a change I agree with.
Yeah.
But come on, fire retardant pajamas. What kind of pussies are we raising? We used to dip a kid in oil, light him on fire. If he couldn't outrun those flames, he was toast. No more fire axes for whatever reason. It was a magical, magical time where if you needed to take care of your family in a hotel in Colorado, God gave you away.
You just found an axe everywhere.
Here's Johnny.
Lying everywhere.
We are late to break, though. We got to go to break.
Yep.
And then we will be back to talk about the rest of this painfully horrible fucking movie. Thank you, guys. See you in a minute.
Latarian Milton is not your typical 7-year-old. Few his age have ever driven an SUV up and down several busy streets. It all started at his mother's townhouse. Latarian says he took the car keys and hopped into his grandmother's Dodge Durango.
When I came through the back door, I looked on the counter, my keys were gone.
I took my grandma car because I got mad at my mom, and then I suddenly had my friend come in, and he smokes with cigarettes.
He started the vehicle and put it into gear.
I yanked the thing.
And off they went, 2 7-year-olds alone on the road. Latarian drove several miles through Lake Park and Palm Beach Gardens.
We got the one call that I told you about of a driver in the vehicle who looked too short to be able to see over the steering wheel.
Along the way, he ran over 2 mailboxes, hit 2 parked cars in a Costco parking lot, and struck 2 moving cars near Walmart.
I want to do it because it's fun. It's fun to do bad things, to drive into a car.
But did you know that you could perhaps kill somebody?
Yes, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
It all ended on Investment Lane and Consumer Drive. That's where Latarian hit the curb and sideswiped the sign. The SUV took most of the beating, snapping off one of his axles and wheels. A Grandmother's Rage.
I want to whip his behind. That's what I want to do right now. If I thought they wouldn't take me to jail, I'd whip his behind right now.
You don't think he should be punished for all of this?
Just a little bit, no video games for a whole weekend.
And one unusual story for police.
Are you sorry? You understand that now your grandma's going to have to pay to have those cars fixed because you hit those cars.
Can my mom help her?
And that's why if I have children, I'll run them through like a gladiator-style obstacle course, and whichever one lives is my favorite.
Oh, American
and still
Gladiators.
alive.
You just
Not American Gladiators.
You just tapped into
Gladiators. American Gladiators was a good show, too. Oh, the 80s were crazy. The 80s were nuts. The 80s gave us the 90s. The 90s were kind of a zany, crazy version of the 80s. Now I feel like we live in, like, Disney presents the 60s. That's how I feel about, because everyone's polyamorous and doing drugs, but everyone's so PC and weak.
Yeah. I agree.
Anyway, back to our movie about Santa Claus stopping a rape by murdering someone.
And then murdering that
And then
person.
murdering the victim.
Yeah. Because why not?
She was naughty.
And he took a box knife to her.
Yeah.
Just from gut up in between
he
boobs.
strangles one. You know, that is appropriate to his scenario as a stock boy. That
He strangled the guy.
He strangles the guy.
Because it was a guy raping a girl, not a girl
Yeah,
raping. Yeah.
No, yeah, the logistics of the other way are, I mean, not that it doesn't happen. I've read some stories on the internet that are terrifying. Do not get really freaking wasted. But yeah, so he has the festive Christmas lights, which match his costume. I think he's still dressed as Santa at this point, even though it's giving him horrible flashbacks to his childhood and his mother's attempted
I think he's just
rape
in the zone now.
and then murder. And so he just doesn't take it. He's so catatonic. And like we said, he's in a coma, so changing his clothes for, would be hard. This actor is just, man, he is a vegetable walking around.
He can't even act like he's going to change his clothes.
And so at this point in the movie, he rescues the girl. Then he decides she's also naughty because he's got this horrible messed up thing going on in his brain about sex and death and all that. And he has a box cutter, which matches his job as a stock boy. Would probably have a box cutter to unpack those 80 to 90 pound toys we're shelving for children.
Well, he got that weapon right.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, I go, oh, so he's going to kill everyone, and then they'll come in and kill him, and the movie will be over.
Yeah.
And I glanced down at the time. Halfway. There's 2 other people in this store. That's it, right? I'm like, how are they going to stretch this into half the movie? The store is the size of a photo hut, which is another rated 80s thing. A photo hut was where you would, they've all become espresso stands now, but you used to have a little building you would drive up to and you'd give your photos to Cheech or Chong and they would take them in and develop them in an hour and you would forget they were there, and no one has pictures of the 80s except for movies, actually, because they all forgot that they could get photo processed. That was like the most amazing thing. 1 hour photo processing.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah. But no, that's not what happens at all. He kills 2 more people rather quickly.
Yeah.
And boringly. So boringly that I forget how he kills his charming boss.
Hammer through the skull.
Oh yeah, back of the hammer.
Yeah.
Creative. The rest of this movie seems like, okay, it just says here kills for another 45 minutes. Get the effects guys in here. We'll show them what we have, and we'll see what they can do.
This is our budget left. What can you do, guys?
Yeah, we got, what do you have? Well, for some reason, we have a deer's head. We can make that work.
Yeah.
Stuff
which
like
was
that.
a really cool, this was probably the best death in the movie, which I think.
I liked it better in Deadwood.
Did they do it in Deadwood?
Yeah, spoiler, that happens in Deadwood, but that doesn't spoil anything because
know.
it's a thing that happens. Now, if you
picks
watch
up
Deadwood, every time you see antlers, you'll be like, is it now?
Yeah. I've never seen an episode of Deadwood.
Oh, Deadwood's really good.
I know, I've
It
heard.
is very dark, but it is very good.
But he picks the girl up, and he just walks her.
A little bit later in the film. Yeah,
Yeah.
but first he claw hammers his boss in the back of the head for being naughty.
Yeah, and then the other chick in the toy store.
He somehow comes up with a bow and arrow.
He pulls out a bow and arrow. There was no lead up that there was a bow and arrow in the store. There was
like
no
I
nothing.
said, what do we have in the props truck? We got a bow and arrow. That's a way to kill a person.
Done.
Yeah.
So right before the chick's about to smash a window and get out of the toy store,
Well, he goes, "Hey, hold on a minute," and she like stops. I mean, there's bodies everywhere at this point, and the guy's been killed with a hammer, and she's, "Oh, what? Did we fuck something up on your time card?" And then he shoots her with an arrow, and she dies.
Yeah.
And then the nun comes in. Echoes of Halloween. I thought that the nun is kind of chasing him around from the orphanarium.
The good nun, not Mother Superior.
No, she's lame. She's not gonna wash her own laundry on this one. She never takes any responsibility for this,
Yeah.
honestly. And then I'm like, oh, so is the movie just going to end? No, he just wanders around town killing random characters we've never met before.
Yeah. Which the next person to die is that the girl. She's making out with her boyfriend on a
making out. They're about to
fuck.
do it, and they're like long,
on a pool table.
Yeah,
and then
she's babysitting someone.
Yeah, well, I think it
The
implied it was her daughter.
Kid's trying to
Or
interrupt.
not her daughter,
her
but
sister or
her sister,
something. Yeah.
And she ends up going upstairs to let the cat out because she hears the jingling of the bells.
Yeah,
of
of all the reasons to stop, or she wants to let the cat in, actually. She
Yeah.
thinks the cat's outside, and
It's a
her
snowy
boyfriend's getting really frustrated. I mean, she's topless, and she throws Daisy Dukes over her panties. And, like, come on, look at the age of this guy. It's not going to take him more than 8 or 9 minutes. Anyway, like, I can see him being frustrated.
Yeah.
He's pretty frustrated, and then she gets caught being naughty.
Yeah.
Because breasts are wrong, women, and you're wrong to have them. I don't know if you've read your Bible, but everything about you is a pile of evil, from your toenails right up to your hair. Cover that shit with a burqa.
No.
Maybe take out both
Holy
your
shit.
eyes so you're not enticing men to have sex with. Anyway, enough of me grandstanding.
She goes upstairs to let the cat in, but she didn't put a shirt on, which was a funny part to me. Who opens their door wide open with no shirt on,
Middle of the
yelling
night.
for a cat? Like, I don't, that's...
But that's because this is only 1/5 of a movie. And we've seen the 1/5 of the movie part, and now they're going, what weird effects can we do, and how many boobs can we put in this?
And he went to go barge in.
Hey, you should leave the shirt off and go open the door. Are you sure? Yeah, this is your big break. You'll be a star.
Oh, and after you're done with that, can you go to my trailer?
Yeah.
You know.
This, let's be honest, this movie was made by manipulative sociopaths.
Oh, yeah. It creeped me out how skinny she was, though. She was really skinny.
Yeah, she's skinny, especially for the 80s before that whole heroin chic took effect.
Yeah,
like,
she was rib cage showing, like, pelvic bones. You could see it and everything. Her tits were nice, though. But, like, she lets the cat actually comes in, and then
Santa Claus.
Yeah, she sees him come, and she slams the door, but he still has the axe from the toy store.
And also the door is made out of balsa wood.
Totally. It's like 2 centimeters thick. It's so tight. It's,
he destroys it. I think he sneezed, actually, and that's what blew the door. I mean, it just comes apart like a bunch of Ritz crackers stacked up like, vertically on top of each other. And he
chases her
in.
down, gets her.
And at this point in the movie, after this happened, you think it's a cool death scene. I think it's a creative way to kill a person, I guess. I don't care how creative we get killing people.
Because he just picks her up and walks her into the antlers. And this is what makes it kind of cool, is it took a while.
This is one of the effects I think they'd kind of just figured out at the time. I remember them being pretty jazzed that they found a way to like slowly push an arrow through a guy in one of the Friday the 13th and stuff. Like, hey, could we do that? Totally, you guys could do that. I can't believe I'm working this piece of shit. Where's the fake blood?
Yeah.
And so they do that. And this is the point in the movie where I go, I know I committed to watching this for a podcast. I don't feel like watching the rest. And I almost stopped at this point when the boyfriend comes up to help. It's never a good idea. Or he's like frustrated. He also gets taken to town and killed. I don't even remember how.
I think I started looking at Facebook right around this
time.
It's
just
I got very disinterested in it.
So he's dead.
Yeah.
And the only interesting thing that happens really for the rest of the movie is that the little girl is there and she finds him and you're like, are they going to go there? Because you have no reason to think that they wouldn't. They wouldn't kill this kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, have you been naughty or nice? And she's adorable.
Yeah.
really
nice
very
kid.
Adorable. Big eyes,
Happy to see
like
Santa.
a cartoon character girl coming drawn to life, kind of thing, like ridiculously big eyes, happy to see Santa. I've been nice. You haven't done anything wrong? No. And so he gives her a present.
Yeah.
Which is a box cutter covered in blood. And she just kind of looks at it perplexed.
Yeah, like, what the fuck
Yeah.
are you talking about?
And I think this is all happening beneath the corpse of the sister or something. Oh, no, the other guy. That was the gag with the other guys. Like, he's walking around underneath the corpse of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
As she's hanging off the ceiling. He's getting very frustrated with her.
Yeah.
It's a cute gag.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to
rest of the
pass
movie,
off as humor. It's no civil rights movement, but it's a joke.
Oh, jeez. And I mean, he's making his way to the orphanage. He kills a couple guys on a sled.
Well, the police are notified.
Yeah,
and
the
the
police
police
have
are
to-
chasing him, but the police are very laissez-faire about, hey, there's a psychopath running around town. He's killed 4 people in a store.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we have to catch Santa. Let's have some crazy banter.
Yeah. He goes,
What?
What did the one cop say? He goes, hey, what would the captain do if we brought in the real Santa? What?
Yeah, what are you high? You are unfit to serve. This
He-
all
and
for
the
some
other
reason
guy-
takes place in Utah, by the way.
To his credit, the other cop looked at him like he was a fucking retard really quick. He was like, you're an idiot. And then they kept on driving.
No, and he goes, then they'll be like, not satisfied, and we'll have to go capture the Tooth Fairy.
Oh.
Little
that was
did they
it?
know, and the
Oh.
Easter Bunny. Little did they know, in a few dozen years, there would be a Tooth Fairy movie. I wonder if there's any connection there.
Yeah, and then he's just making his way to the orphanage.
I
'cause-
guess.
Well,
Just-
they figured it out.
Here's what happened. They go, and then he kills everyone in the toy store. Yeah. And then we'll have the cops show up and kill him. Yeah. Then they filmed all that, and they go, that's only 45 minutes. Does anyone know any actors? I get we have to have our comatose guy kill 8 or 9 more people. And he is so horrible. I don't know if I've driven this home enough. He is horrible in this role. The dead eye thing, I'm being rude in saying he was in a coma. I obviously had that skill of doing the dead eyes, right? But it's just, have you been naughty? Like, it's just like he doesn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
It's like watching Harrison Ford do anything before the last Star Wars in the last 20 years. It's like really, really tiresome. And so he kills some kids who bully some other kids off. Like, it's like they went and gathered scenes from other horror movies, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there's like some kids having some banter with some other kids, and they get bullied out of their sleds. Because that's, how bullies are. Like, we're going to bully you
We're gonna
and take
steal
your
your
sleds and then actually sled with them. That's not what a bully does.
Well-
Bully will bully you. They do their hashtag bullying, and they
I
hashtag
think
bully
it's
you
called a
out of your
microaggression.
microaggressions. Yeah, and hashtag bull. It starts with microaggressions, and macroaggressions, and supersized aggressions, and then what do you want to drink with that?
And then
Some
decapitation.
microaggressions. A bully does not bully you, steal your sled, and then sled with it. A bully bullies you, takes your sled, and breaks it in front of you.
Yeah.
But then we can't have our cool scene where actors painfully attempt to make it look like they're sledding down a hill quickly,
Yeah.
but are just like pushing. And it's
Pushing
really,
themselves,
it's so crappy.
The one dude makes it, but he decapitates the other one on the way, which was kind of cool. Because
Yeah.
by the time, and when the body gets down to the bottom, his buddy's freaking out. I mean, the body
because
looks
the
good.
body is still sledding
Yeah.
with its severed head,
Yeah. Slumped over a
you
little
will,
bit.
If someone takes an axe to you, you're probably gonna. This is gonna be a little graphic. You're probably gonna evacuate your bowels.
Okay.
And probably your bladder as well, as you realize that axe is going through your head. This is when it happened to me. That's what happened. And also, you're probably going to grip very quickly. If you've ever been in like car wreck or something. One time I was in a car wreck holding a pen, and my buddy crashed into the back of another car, and I squeezed the pen so hard it shattered.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was not a nice pen that you think you could do that with. It was a $1 Bic, like squishy plastic. I squeezed it that hard. There's ink all over my hands. So you get that super strength when you're getting murdered, and you hold the sled, and your back goes rigid. And so, I mean, they consulted several scientists on this, and like autopsy guys, the morgue people. They had the chick from Dead Heat. She's a big scientist at a morgue. What would happen? Because we, just for this scene, want to be very accurate in what we portray. We know that kids are going to watch this, and we want them to get an accurate opinion. So the head comes off, and Buddy goes down the hill holding the sled to his other buddy, who's like, this is fucked.
Yeah. He just stands there. He makes it, right? He doesn't get killed.
I don't think he
Or
does,
does he
no.
throw the accident?
Well, he's kind of evading police and leaving. Maybe. See how unengaging the rest of this film
truly
is?
I want to get to the part towards the
So and then it just goes to the next day.
yeah.
And the Michael Myers nurse, what's the guy in Michael Myers movies? He's like the doctor that treated Michael Myers for years, and he's oh yeah, it's amazing that he can drive a car. He's probably going to kill a bunch of people. I better go there and stop him.
Yeah.
Hell has come to your small town. Blah blah blah. She's kind of playing that role, even though it's a lot her fault.
I love the
Don't
next
put
day
your
with-
psychopath in. Like, hey, This guy has an aversion to blocks. Blocks make him go crazy and kill people. I'll get him a job as a bricklayer. No, asshole. Go get him a job filing papers or something that in no way relates to his PTSD. But she wants to clean up her mess. So she shows up and she's like, hey, everybody, my bad, but there's a Santa Claus running around your town murdering indiscriminately based on some weird moral scale that only exists in his head.
She shows up at the police station and says
she's
this?
talking to she shows up and finds everyone's bodies.
Yeah.
At one point, they call her, or she calls to check on how he's doing because she knows she fucked up, right? It's like Christmas, and she calls to check how the person with the Santa-induced PTSD is doing working at a toy store that has a Santa visit.
Yeah, because she calls...
And she just gets enough information to go, oh my God, have I ruined everything for everyone? Why do we even have Santa? We're fucking nuns. And she just doesn't say, like, you should probably not have him be Santa or anything. She just puts the phone down.
Yeah.
And just
dun, dun, dun.
marinades in her shame and guilt. Because she's Catholic, and that's what you do. So she travels to the town because she's going to stop Santa Terminator and finds all these corpses and apparently alerts the police force to this problem. And like we said, they take it in a very laissez-faire way. Small town Utah, 4 corpses? Just another day! You know, like the Shield. Like, whatever, we can deal with this. Let's just not even, like, be on the lookout too much. And they bust in on some guy who was going to pretend to be Santa for his daughter.
Yeah.
But there's also, like, a weird, slightly, like, is this legit kind of vibe, I thought, to that
Yeah,
sequence?
why
Because
is
she
he-
immediately recognized him. 1. 2, she was sleeping and woken up by the police force. 3, the wife seemed to be kind of...
creeped out
by the whole scenario.
She looked surprised that he was in his daughter's room with a Santa outfit.
And he came through the window. It was all very strange, innuendo-ish.
Weird.
Oddness. But then they're like, well, this isn't our murderer, Santa. Woo-doo-woo-doo-woo-doo. And fucking get back in their car and just drive around for a while more. Like, oh, it's like...
But they finally get tipped off that the Santa's probably going to the orphanage.
That's why I was talking about the Mike Myers nurse, because they're nun nurse. Because she's like, there is a certain oh yeah, he's probably gonna go back and murder everyone at the orphanage. We should go there and stop that.
Which
And
his little brother's still at the orphanage.
They send one of the 2 police officers.
One?
There's 2 of them, right? There's 2 of them driving around in the truck. Just one of you. Only
The
one
other
of them
guy
shows
quit.
up, and they're like, if you see Santa, shoot to kill. So he gets to the orphanage, and he sees, and the orphanage is having a big to-do that Santa's coming. Because they have no respect for the Jesus or the Bible or the story of Jesus and the wise men.
Like you were going to say Quran.
I was going to say creation myth, but I realized we're not talking about Adam and Eve. And none of that, And so they're going to have Santa come, and the cop sees Santa huffing it towards the orphanage from behind, and most cops in the 80s. You've told me I'm okay to shoot somebody. Even if you haven't told me I'm allowed to shoot somebody, I'm going to shoot.
Gonna die.
Yeah. The reason all fake guns have orange tips on them is because cops in the 80s, with any excuse to kill people, they would just do it. I remember one time they took down a kid because he had a super soaker. What did you think? We were being invaded by aliens? If you thought a super soaker?
That
yeah,
story.
that happened in Tacoma.
Oh,
and we were like, well, you can't play with super soakers anymore because the police will shoot you. But it turns out it wasn't because super soaker is probably because he was black. Anyway, even our Christmas episodes are incredibly dark. So he shoots down Santa.
He's yelling at him. This is the part.
Stop.
He's yelling, stop, don't.
This is the most well-written part of the movie, actually, even though it's cheesy and boring and bullshit. But it does re-engage you. Like, did he just kill a rando Santa? He totes did.
He
totes did. Sorry, Santa. YOLO is over. Turns out that Santa was the priest for the church, Father Flanagan or whatever.
And he's deaf,
and
so
he's
he
deaf,
couldn't
so he
hear.
couldn't hear the warning. It was a perfect storm of Santa death.
And he shot in front of all the kids.
Yeah.
All the kids are outside.
So they're all potential sequels at this point. The girl with the box cutter's a potential sequel. The younger brother who still lives in the orphanarium and ages at a way different rate than his older brother. Because he's initially like 2 years old to an 8-year-old. Now he's like 7 years old to an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So they should do some studies on that boy. Just what the fuck is going on there? That's amazing. Can you imagine if you got to your 20s and you found out like that kicked in? I'd just be in my 20s for decades. But So yeah, that's Santa's gunned down. And then they go, okay, well, you shot an innocent civilian to death. He was probably going to go in there, maybe kill some people anyway, and be like, not Santa. No one told you about Jesus. Let's get Catholic medieval on y'all junior asses and kill everyone. So he may have averted some murders there anyway. At least Mother Superior, who doesn't even take the time to tell them about Jesus. She just beats people for having sex.
Kind of mad she doesn't die.
Yeah.
Kind of pissed. She was psycho.
So they leave their one cop who's just shot a guy to death.
Yeah.
You guard the orphanage. Don't stay near potential targets, though. Run laps around it like a complete douche. And he does that. Does he get killed? Again, I disengaged with this film.
Yeah, at the woodshed or something.
He goes down
he chops him down.
I think it literally says murder shed, and it goes underground or something.
Something like that.
I feel like there was a stairway with torches lit.
I kind of stopped watching this movie.
I was looking at it, and I was trying to process it, but I was just so filled with hate. It's just not good. And it has... That's the thing. Okay, and then eventually Santa gets shot in front of all the children.
Yeah.
The real bad
While
Santa.
trying to kill... Yeah.
And Mother Teresa, or whatever, is not...
Mother Teresa.
She was a bad person, too. Look it up.
Oh, no, I know.
Mother Superior, the Nurse Ratched character, is like, children, just kind of stay near me so there's lots of targets. Maybe I'll make it out of this. When he does come into the room. She's not doing anything great. She's wheelchair bound, and then they break in and shoot him to death. And then there's rap song for the credits or something. I don't know.
That was pretty much it, right?
Yeah, that's just it. And it's like, yeah.
You just end up feeling kind of dirty.
And then everyone walked out of the theater and ate the nearest gun is why they pulled this movie. Actually had nothing to do with the PTA. It's just like, and it's well written enough that you're like, well, perhaps if they had actors, perhaps if they weren't overindulgent with the grandpa thing and would rework it. I mean, they do certain things where I'm like, this could be an okay movie, but it's just painful.
I don't even like most of the ideas. Legitimately, the coolest part was the antlers death.
The imagery of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And the idea, there's that movie where all the guys dress up like Elvis and rob the casino or something.
Yeah.
The idea of a killer Santa Claus running around on Christmas is not a bad idea. It holds at least as much weight as a guy wearing a William Shatner mask, spray painted white, running around on Halloween and killing people.
Yeah.
But they just didn't give it the effort. I've never really enjoyed the Halloween movies either. I like horror that's legit good. It functions as a movie. There's very few of them. I know. But what do you feel about a Silence of the Lambs?
Good.
Like a really good thriller that borders on horror.
That's the difference.
Well, I don't like these slasher things often. Yeah, I just can't deal.
I freak out. I don't like any horror movies with little girls. I think we talked about this before.
Like the Ring type stuff?
Yeah, Ringo. Fuck no. I'm good. Any little kid creepy.
Oh yeah.
I hated Child's Play.
How about The Good Son, Macaulay Culkin?
That one didn't bug me.
That's weird.
But it's a thriller. It's not like it's not some random either ghost or somebody possessing somebody. The guy was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Macaulay Culkin was a little prick, and he was killing people because he was evil. It wasn't like...
I enjoyed the first Saw because it seemed to me like a good concept piece done
Great
well.
Concept piece. Yeah,
even though it's brutal, and I don't like this. With this movie, once it devolves into what it is. Even before that, it's just an excuse. It's someone is really upset with their parenting and flipping them the bird from behind a movie camera is what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people will just drink to get back at their father, and some people will just become a horrible sexual deviant. And somehow
I think they just did it for pure.
It was the kind of thing that's sold, and they're like, yeah, people are degenerates. In the 80s, we're like, we'll make one, and they'll probably make a lot of money. It did make its money back.
Yeah.
And it did spawn 4 more movies and a loose-based remake, which I wanted to watch before this to get some compare and contrast, but I guess we'll have to save that one for next Christmas.
Yeah. If we have to.
If there is a Christmas next year, there's that war on Christmas. So, Christmas is in jeopardy. The secular powers that be are going to remove a federal holiday. Worry about that. Worry about it. Don't worry that Donald Trump's going to rape his own daughter, according to him. Like, he said he would date his own daughter recently.
Because she's attractive.
That's what he said. Yeah, and he's running for president. But what you need to worry about is that Starbucks graphic designer took the snowflakes off the coffee cups, which is an affront to Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the other Jesus, the
and
black
the other one.
Yeah,
and the other one.
Yeah, and Josephus.
Ganesha.
And yeah.
Yeah.
and Life of Brian and all those things. No, I see a lot of potential with the idea. Ignore the fact that it has a creepy kid in it that gets a box cutter. She should get her own series of sequels.
That would make
the
more
little
sense.
brother, I think, is in one of the movies as a sequel.
Is it?
I think one of them's the little brother. And
Is he aged yet?
Yeah, he's like, well, as soon as you need him to start killing people, you just boom, age him up to right where you need him. Like that's easy movie
Jump
rule.
it forward. He didn't write. Yeah, the writer didn't even write the other ones. Like they just, it just went.
Well, these were so lucrative in the 80s, these slasher things.
Yeah.
Like,
Where trauma came from and all that. I mean,
Friday the 13th. There's a very good documentary on Netflix right now, as we're recording this, which is early 2016, like the first week of 2016, about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Which one?
It's called Never Sleep Again. It is about every Nightmare on Elm Street, and it devotes sometimes 40 minutes per film, and there are 6 or 7 of those.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it's very in-depth. They got almost everybody except Johnny Depp that's been in any of them.
Yeah.
Like, so many people in them, and it covers New Line Cinema, because New Line was made by those movies in a lot of ways, and then went on to do Lord of the Rings, which is crazy. But, so it covers all of them, including New Nightmare, and it's a very good movie. And the company that made it before that tried to do one about Friday the 13th. And Friday the 13th movies, as beloved as they may be for whatever fucking reason, make no chronological sense whatsoever.
No.
Like, well, the guy's dead, and it's his mom's killing people. Then he comes back to life, and then comes back to life again. But he doesn't seem to be supernatural. They're not good movies, in my opinion, and they're kind of vindictive. But he is, but he isn't, but then he is, and blah, blah, blah.
Wait. Which one are we talking about?
That's what I mean.
Nightmare on Elm Street?
No. Nightmare on Elm Street's obviously supernatural. Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, the first one is just kind of it's a prototype.
You had me all, I
got you all bugaboo with my slasher references. Nightmare on Elm Street's a legitimate horror movie, too. We got to wrap this up. So what do you think? Should people buy this for their kid for Easter?
For Easter?
Yeah.
Sure.
Put it in an egg.
Yeah.
And present it to them dressed as a bunny, wielding a butcher knife.
Here's some disappointment, kid. Go ahead.
Yeah, this movie's crap.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
If you do love it, get on Rated80s.com and tell us why we're wrong. We'd love to hear that. We got a great forum for that. Or tell us on YouTube. You subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah. Or tell us on Twitter. I fucking hate Twitter. I only use it to promote the YouTube things. All right. You got any parting words for our audience?
Yeah, don't watch this. I mean, go ahead, I guess, if you're gonna. I don't know. It just...
No, watch any of the other movies we've mentioned with the exception of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
All right.
Summed it up.
We love you. Goodbye.